So. Okay, well, good morning and welcome to Decorah UU. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Beth Wahlberg. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be leading the service today with Julie Odie on tech support. We are a welcoming, lay-led spiritual community moving together in time in an open search for truth and meaning. We believe in people's inherent capacity to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment for the good of humanity. Just a reminder that we are live streaming and recording this service. And so anything you say will be publicly available online. I don't think we have any visitors, but if we do, welcome. And because today is our annual meeting of our fellowship, we're going to have a shortened service. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read the announcements, but does anyone have any other announcements they'd like to share? You can click on reactions and raise hand. Carolyn has an announcement.
Okay, yes. Hi, good to see everybody. I have an announcement from Collective Action for Racial Equity. A subgroup of Collective Action will be sending a letter to the city and the county, asking them for greater accountability in regard to policing and recording sex and race of people who are stopped at traffic stops. And there's more to that. If you're interested in that, if you're interested in being involved, you can follow that on the listserv, or if you're not a member of the Collective Action listserv, you can reach out to me and I'll get you signed on.
Thank you. Ellen, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I'm trying to have a small hand in the garlic mustard at Twin Springs situation from a long ways away. And I promised Carl Peterson that I wouldn't ask him to be the head of it, but he does happen to have up-to-date information on what's needed. So if any of you have an hour you could give to this good cause, send me an email and/or get in touch with Carl. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's already worked on it. It's great work.
Thank you, Ellen. Any other announcements that anyone needs to share, wants to share? I don't see anyone. Okay, in honor of Earth Day on Thursday, our opening song, are you ready, Julie? Our opening song will be Blue Boat Home, which is by Unitarian Universalist singer-songwriter Peter Mayer. Please remain on mute, but feel free to sing along.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
I love that song so much. My dream is to get him to Decorah sometime. I think he's been here before, but. So now we're gonna light the chalice, and please remain on mute, but read along the chalice lighting on the screen. As we light this chalice, may it serve to give us clarity of purpose and guide us as we set about doing the work of this congregation in commitment, in cooperation, and in love. And now we'll have our land acknowledgement. While we're currently physically in many locations, we normally would convene at the Lingonberry in downtown Decorah. Considering that sacred space, we offer this acknowledgement, building upon text offered by Luther professors Holly Moore, Anna Peterson, and David Faldet, as well as by the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture in partnership with Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge that Northeast Iowa was home to the Iowa, whose traditional name was Baksoche. The Sac and Fox, the Fox's traditional name is Meskwaki, the Dakota, and the Ho-Chunk. sometimes called Winnebago, though the origin of this name is derogatory, meaning people of the dirty water. Peoples whose relationship to this land continues today. We acknowledge our sad history of broken treaties and the forced migration of Indigenous peoples. We are grateful for the way this land supports and sustains our lives, and thus also express our appreciation for the stewardship of this land by its prior inhabitants, Indigenous, migrant, and immigrant. May the values of reciprocity and truth-telling, still so vital to Indigenous culture, inspire us as we seek a path of peace and justice in our lives together. I invite you to take a moment for reflection upon the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that have shaped our presence here today, and to adopt an attitude of reverence and gratitude for the ongoing resilience of this place and the people who have called it home. So now we will do our joys and sorrows. This is the time in our service when we invite anyone who wishes to do so to share with us a personal joy, concern, or milestone in your life. And again, you can use your raise hand feature. And I'll be sure to give phone-only participants a chance at the before we finish. Please remain muted, but join in singing the response printed in the bulletin and on the screen. Thank you, Otter, for recording the accompaniment. And now it's time for the offering. Even though we're meeting on Zoom, we continue to require the gracious gifts of our members and friends to support our congregation. And you'll see in our annual meeting portion that we have had a wonderful, wonderful support from our members this past year. You can visit decorahuu.org for ways to give. And note also that part of our fellowship's commitment and outreach to our community is to support worthy organizations. The Share the Plate recipient for March and April is Art House in support of their natural dye garden project. So now we'll have the offertory. Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie Odie, for doing the PowerPoint. And we could hear the music just fine, I think so. So now we will pause our service while we have our annual meeting, and we'll have the chalice lighting after the meeting. And I will turn it over to Matthew.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well and that everyone got the packet that Otter sent out with all our information so that we can get an idea of how things are going and running for us here at Decorah UU. While we have not been meeting, I guess that would be one of my first thank yous for the day is to Ellen Rockney and Eric Starr, who when all of this hit, found to basically say that we didn't need to worry about rent, and we had worked out possibly paying half, doing these other things, and they've been so gracious to hold our place, our physical home. So I want to give a thank you to them for keeping that as we try to recover and try to be safe and come together in a safe way. As we know, there are still responsibilities and things to do, even though we don't meet. And particularly, I have to thank Carolyn and Karen for organizing, putting together, finding the speakers. I know that other people have recommendations of speakers, but the job that Karen and Carolyn have been doing to give us our services every other Sunday, but being so active when they have such busy lives outside of the UU, it's been incredible to me. I am amazed by it. So thank you to you too. It's wonderful, and very happy to hear of Ellis's recovery going well too. So yeah, this is as a person who, as I've stated many times, is sort of a left, or is it right brain? I always forget. Right brain thinker. See, I can't even keep that straight. Keeping things in order and being responsible for things has often been something of a challenge. And so to be the board chair and to be on the board in particular has been an honor for me to take responsibility for a community that I care about, to be engaged in a way that actually, I mean, while there might be some personal challenges, it isn't too bad. And as I've stated, to work with the people I get to work with. And now this year, having had Julie and Lynn come on, having, met, getting to know more people from our fellowship and our congregation has been a great and valuable thing. And as always, we, because we are a small fellowship, finding new people, reaching out to people when we can to offer up what we know of UU and bringing them in, and then finding time to give on committees and on services. I've been here many years, and it took a while for them to even coax me to get this far. And so I just really am calling out that, we still need people helping us do what we do, plan Sunday services, and what have you, and spreading the word of UU out into our community. So we will move forward with our meeting, starting with the approval of the 2020 minutes from our last year's annual meeting.
I move we approve the minutes from the 2020 annual meeting.
I'll second that.
Sue seconds. Beth. Okay.
I'm wondering if this is Otter speaking, and I'm
Yes.
wondering if when there's a motion or a second or something like that, if you could say your name first, because I got Beth and Sue, but I might not recognize everyone's voices right away. Thank you.
All those in favor, raise a hand. Is that going to work? This happened last year too. And any against the approval of those minutes? Hearing none, the motion passes. So there was an agenda that was put out. And we are also looking for the approval of the agenda if there are any issues that people thought might need to be added or addressed, now would be the time.
Do you want a motion, Matthew?
Yeah, we would take a motion if basically giving time for anybody to add anything, but then otherwise, if somebody wants to motion to approve those minutes, that would be great.
I move that we approve the agenda. Oh, I was
Ellen,
moving on to the agenda.
Ellen
this-
moves.
And this is Maggie and I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. And are there any against? Hearing none, that motion to approve the agenda for this year passes. And then I am going to move off, I believe, let me know if I'm wrong about this, Beth, but to move into the review and approval of committee reports, and I'll let those people handle those reports.
So Matthew, did you say what you wanted to say in your call to order?
You know, I did.
Okay,
That's
that's
I
perfect.
got the things messed up in my order, so
No,
I
It was
apologize.
a good way to start us off.
Good. Okay.
So then it would be Carolyn. Are you going to say anything, Carolyn, about the?
Sure. I'll just kind of highlight the report from the Services Committee. And we're in deep appreciation for all of the community speakers, many of whom are from Luther College and beyond, who've come and spoken to us over the last year. We know there are many talented folks among our own membership who may be interested in speaking or being involved in other ways in service planning or even the organizing the bulletin items. So if you're interested in that, please do reach out to me, Karen, or Otter. In reflection, in 2020, we have been incorporating land acknowledgement into our services, recognizing the historical trauma of colonization and simultaneously uplifting Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we center ourselves prior to service. Starting in January 2021, we are acknowledging the emotional labor of BIPOC and other marginalized people by increasing the honorarium of these speakers. We started doing stuff on Zoom. I'm just reading from my notes, so I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping over the boring stuff. We have been encouraging people to minister to each other through your UU circles. And so in short, in closing, Sunday services need your help. And if you're interested in assisting with service planning or bulletin support or other elements of service planning, kindly contact me or Otter. Thank you.
And Deetra, you're our membership chair. You're the committee, Deetra.
Yes.
Is there anything you wanted to share in addition to your report, or?
Yeah, I'm just going to hit some highlights from it, and then I'm going to be jumping off. I've got family getting ready to leave, and I want to bid them farewell. So yeah, a little different this year, of course, with membership recruitment, meeting virtually. We didn't have any members join, but we did have some visitors, an average of 4 per service, according to the data that was provided. And just a reminder, if you know of folks that are visiting virtually or when we're in person, following up with folks and engaging with them. If you know them, great, invite them. If it's someone you don't know, get to know them and develop that relationship. And because we know it's all about the people is what makes the fellowship. And I look forward to when we're all face to face again, and we'll definitely get re-engaged in high gear. Thank you.
Thank you, Deetra. Say hi to your family.
Will do. Thank you.
And there isn't really an owl report per se, Matthew, but you did have some conversations. I think I dropped the ball, or did I drop the ball and kick it to you? I don't know exactly what happened with Owl, but is there anything you want to say about your conversation?
Yeah,
about that?
basically, I was just actually on my little tiny phone here, scrolling through, trying to see if Lara happened to make it. I know that she's actually been on a hiatus or a sabbatical or removal from the internet and computer usage, and recently got on for some emails. But I did leave a call with her just to touch base and see where they're at. I know that they had sort of, because of the weather and whatever, been on break. So I don't actually know. I know that, as we move into better weather, we'll probably see some activity with the OWL program as they try to organize and move forward. So.
Thank you. Julie, do you want to share the financial report first, the annual financial report one? There's 2 documents related to our financial situation that you received in the email from Otter. And I think Julie's going to try to pull the one up, but oops, I should pull it up too. Just a couple of things. Overall, you can see that our members are so generous, and because we didn't have to pay rent, which was also generous, we financially are doing fine, even just in spite of our having to meet via Zoom. And so you can see that in the operations spending to April 18th. So just as a reminder, our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th. So for this fiscal year, there's a couple more months of information that will go on the annual report, the final annual report. Anyway, thank you to everyone for not only financial support, but all the other support that has really allowed us to have a good year this year. Something new this year is our PayPal account. That we are keeping a balance in that, and from there we can pay other bills. So we've been paying the Zoom bill directly through that, which has worked out really well. And then one other thing that is coming up is you can see we have quite a few assets for our small little group. A big portion of these are in certificates of deposit at Viking Bank, and a big percentage are gifts that we received years ago from Al Bergen, who was one of our first members. And some of it is restricted to a building fund. And so just so you're aware, we have convened a little finance committee of Carl Peterson and Sean Detman and myself to look at some of these assets we have and consider putting them into a longer term investment where we might make a little more interest or return on some of that money. Realistically, we're not going to be using those big chunks for quite a number of years probably. So anyway, that we'll be bringing information back to you in the coming year about that. And then as far as the budget, that's the other sheet that Otter shared. And basically we just used some of the same information from this previous year, and it's based on the assumption that by January, so for half of the year, we hope, and maybe more if things go well, maybe we'll be in person at the Lingonberry before January. I hope so. But I did these numbers based on that we would be in the building together for 6 months of the year. So that's the main thing about that budget. So it's less than last year because we had budgeted to, I guess I was in denial at this time last year, or we were that we weren't going to be able to be meeting in person, and we didn't know if we have to pay the rent even if we weren't there. So anyway, does anyone have any questions about any of our financial information? You can always call me or email me or however, text me if you have a question or a concern or. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have to do anything in terms of as a group, not approving, but just basically acknowledging that report? Do we do a group acknowledgement of that?
Actually, Matthew, I think we are required to approve the committee reports. So I would move approval of these reports that have been presented by the various committee chairs.
Okay.
Stu Adi.
Julie Fisher seconds that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Are there any against approval? Hearing none. The motion to approve, which I think whatever the term we want to use passes and moves forward. Moving on to election items. In the first portion, we have both, the ones we'll be going into are the board member election and also members for the nominating committee. Starting with the board member election, we have Maggie Hayden for a 3-year term. Lyra McKnight is coming on for a 3-year term, yay! And Beth Wahlberg, 1-year extension of her term. And Beth, I forget how we move forward with that. The same with how we're just doing approval, or?
I think we can have a motion, entertain an motion for the slate of candidates.
Yeah, the slate, right.
Or if someone, or do either Maggie or Lyra want to say any words, or? The reason I'm doing a 1-year extension is because we went to 3-year terms and I've done 2-year terms. And we kind of need a person to do the treasurer 1 more year. But after this year, I can't do the treasurer by our bylaws, that you can only be treasurer for 4 years. So it's a way to extend it and then hopefully train someone in for the following year. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to comment. I think this is an excellent slate. I would, though, as sort of this amateur parliamentarian that I'm becoming here, say that we should ask if there are any other nominations to fulfill our democratic process, I believe.
Excellent. Are there any other nominations? We would love it.
Is this the first time that we'll have an all-female board? That's kind of
really
interesting.
I love it. All right, then hearing no other interest in other nominations for candidates, I would move to accept this slate of board member election candidates.
Jean will second that.
Jean DeWitt seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any against? Hearing none. Motion passes for this new slate of board member elections. Thank you. And we move on to the members of the nominating committee. We have two, Lolly Madriguera and Janet Snyder. They've already been serving previously, and we're going to move forward to have them continue. Sorry, and I just saw Julie. Yes, thank you to Maggie and Lyra and Beth for continuing on the board. Sorry to interject there, but are there any other nominations for members of the nominating committee that people want to put forward?
What does this committee do?
Beth, I
served
think I know what it is, but I just want to have
Yeah.
somebody help confirm
And
what they do.
historically, they're the committee that works with a board member representative to find candidates
Yes.
for
Right.
the board.
Yes.
It's been a little bit of a strange year this year, but normally they work with one of the members of the board to find candidates to be on the board, basically, or other positions that need to be filled.
All right. Well, hearing no other nominations, we just need a movement to move forward with those.
This is Gary Newman, and I move to move forward with the voting for Lolly or Janet as the members of the nominating committee.
Excellent. Carrie.
This is Lyra, and I second that motion.
There are seconds. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any against? Hearing none. The motion passes to accept those two nominations for the nominating committee. Thank you, Lolly. Thank you, Janet. Excellent. And Beth, I don't remember who's taking over the discussion for the Sunday services in the coming months.
I think any of us, I think we just wanted to check in with people and if anyone had anything they wanted to share about this, we as a board, or do you want to say a little bit about what we discussed, Matthew?
Oh, about meeting?
Yeah,
And that we've done a little bit of research, and that as people are getting vaccinated, as we are moving forward trying to make it through this pandemic and these crazy times, currently we are still staying remote, doing Zoom services. I think we talked about at least until September. Was that right, Beth? I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't quite remember. And that we will revisit. We'll be watching and sort of observing how things are going until that time. But due to the space at the Lingonberry and the people we have and the considerations, we're going to remain every other Sunday on Zoom, and just wanted to have other people offer their insights or ideas.
I don't know if you want people to raise their hand or not, but I was wondering, I know the other church that I'm attending in Sioux City, they are going to incorporate virtual somehow, even once they get back into the building. And I wondered if that's something we could discuss to see if for people who maybe can't make it to a physical service or might have joined, or not that we have anyone who's joined, but might have be interested in coming from another location that's not nearby. I wonder if there's any way to start incorporating virtual for people who would like to join us from outside of the area.
That's a really cool idea, but I don't know how it would be done.
We began a little bit of that process back in March in February, somewhere in there. I'm not going to speak for anyone. That is something that has been a possibility as we started moving forward with COVID. Before we moved to Zoom, having sort of a video setup, a video camera, so that we could still have the ability to film our services and share them with other members of fellowship. So that will probably be something that we can add moving forward as a discussion, at least, and see where it can lead. If anybody wants to add to this as well. But yeah, we have actually, it's been a consideration.
Gary, I was thinking that probably we wouldn't be able to do a live service virtual, but we could, if we can at least get to the point where we can video, then as Matthew said, we could have it available on YouTube or on our page, our website, so people could see it. They wouldn't be able to actively take part.
Right.
I think it would be way too difficult for our small congregation to have both a live one virtually and an actual service on site.
Yes, I don't know how they were planning to actually have people participate, but I agree it probably would be more practical just to videotape the service and have it available for people to watch.
I would like to hear from Carolyn.
Karen and I have talked about this a little bit, and I think that we can live stream, and it would look different than this looks because we're catering to the screen, and we put up the slides for the screen, and we play the songs on video for the screen, and we monitor the chats, and we all weigh in. That part, the interactive parts and the slides, we would probably have to set that aside so that we can focus on really giving a good in-person service. But I think that we can stream it through Zoom, and it just won't have quite the dimensions we have as we sit from all of us from our homes, unless we get really big like the Sioux City UU and they've got 2 or 3 people on tech, because it will take that much. It'll definitely take somebody just running tech and watching the chat and that kind of thing. And if we're running a live service, we probably aren't going to also run all the tech, but we could stream it. And at the very least, it would have an audio connection, but probably a video connection if we set a little smartphone up and aim it at the speaker spot. So that's kind of what we're thinking to do, is to still have some connectivity, but it'll be different than being strictly on Zoom.
I have an idea for the nicer weather coming up. I'm really tired of just hanging out with 6th graders. So maybe could we think about some outside services like a Phelps Park, reserving one of those, well, I don't know what the heck they're called. Those things with the roofs on them.
Shelters. Yeah.
Shelter. That's it. Thanks.
Yep.
We did actually talk about that at our, this is Julie. We did have talked about that at our board meeting. And I can't remember, didn't we even have a tentative date? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think June 6th, or is that right, Carolyn?
Yep, that's what we're tentatively looking at. If anybody feels like that's too early, say so right now.
We can bundle up. As long as it's not raining.
But if we have a shelter, it can rain all at once.
Well, that's true. I think we were talking about Twin Springs for the 6th. But then we could do other ones at Phelps.
Those will not be live streamed.
Is the bridge redone now for Twin Springs so we can get there?
It's still in process.
Yeah.
You can get there.
Yeah,
But no,
there's a
you
way to
can't-
walk.
You have to walk further though.
Yeah.
So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They
so
seem to
it-
be doing good work on it, though. We'll see how it comes in the next week or whatever.
But there are other places at that park too.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot. You will have to walk about 5 or 10 minutes to get to Twin Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe for accessibility, we'll consider maybe like a shelter up at Phelps.
Mhm.
I forgot about that.
I think that would be a good idea. This is scary because of, I know Mark and I are both physically disabled. Probably better for the accessibility.
I'll look into the shelters for the 6th. It's graduation season, so they might all be booked, but I'll check into it for that date.
Do you want to talk now about some other ideas for these upcoming services? I know Carolyn has reached out to some of us to see if there is any interest in some particular topics for these next couple of weeks, especially with Karen helping Ellis recover from the surgery. Do you want to talk about that at this time, Carolyn?
Anybody who has ideas, please forward them to me or Otter.
Okay.
I think for the next, when are we meeting next? May 9th, maybe?
May 9th.
Thank you, Otter. We don't really have a service fixed, so it's been a long time since we've had a discussion group about movies that we've seen and have touched our hearts. So in particular, we've been really focusing on increasing our awareness of Black, Indigenous, people of color concerns. So I'd like to give that as a theme. What has really informed you and enlightened you? So that would be for May 9th. Think about those movies you've been listening to and watching over the last year or two and what you'd like to recommend to others.
I have an idea. I don't know if anyone's ever done this at the Decorah Unitarian, but one thing that we used to incorporate at the Community Church for our summers, but maybe, or some churches should have done it before their service, is have a forum discussion where we all talk about a topic and everyone can give their input on the topic. It's just it's usually pretty informal, kind of light, but I'm not light in topic, but it's not a service per se, but a certain topic that fits our principles or something. Social justice is discussed and they just kind of go around and people can share if they want to. I wondered if we'd ever have forums with other partners.
Carrie, can you give an example or two of topics that they did?
Well, I know one that I can give an example because I led it. We happened to have a Sunday that was on a Father's Day. And so people went around and we shared our reflections on our own fathers, our experiences as fathers. And it was a very touching service or forum, I should say. But it could even be something like a political issue. One time I did a forum on LGBT issues. It's just, I found them very touching and spiritual a good way to get to know each other as well, you know, what our thoughts are on things. It's just something I wanted to bring up. I've been thinking of introducing it since I joined.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
This is Julie Fisher speaking. I really like that idea too. We did that also in some of the other congregations that we've been a part of. I'd just like to mention that Krista Tippett, who does a wonderful show on lots of different topics, but one of the things she usually asks people is, what does it mean to be human? I guess that's a question we could answer differently at every point in our lives, but that would certainly be an open-ended question that would bring a lot of thought and might be quite instructive. Nancy Berry in the past has done wonderful services on the poetry of Emily Dickinson. And I think Stephen Grove is getting interested in Braver Angels work. So that might be something that he would be willing to share about. Yeah, those are some ideas that I had. So thank you.
Those are really good ones too, Julie. This is Sue speaking again. And I was also wondering if this year has been such an amazing year for almost all of us, I imagine, but perhaps that itself could be a topic. What things have you learned about yourself? What things have you learned about how you are able to cope or not able to cope? How have you struggled? What joys have you found? What sorrows have you found? And has there been particular help that you found through reading, through however you've made it through the year or not made it through the year? Perhaps that itself could be a discussion topic that we could all take part in, probably. If there were a few of us who would sort of agree to lead in with some comments, then I bet we could keep that going for a while.
It's a great idea.
Yes, great idea. And I know some churches who did forums only during the summer, like the Sioux City group. And then I know others who actually had like a 9 o'clock forum and a 10 o'clock service. And I don't know if anyone would be interested in committing more time to this or not, but.
Carrie, I really like the idea of forum, but I think it works better with a larger group. I think if you have a small group like ours, I think time is going to be a consideration for most people. And I would like to see it just as a standard thing of our service, like maybe once a month, we have a forum Sunday. That would certainly ease up a little bit of the stress of having to find so many outside speakers. And it also gives people, I think if people have more of a chance to share, they're maybe a lot more likely to come. So those are my thoughts on that. Thank you.
I have a thought on, this is Ellen again. Someone who went to a more conventional church where they have a service and they have an adult forum said to me one time something like, it sounds as though your church is just an adult forum. And I said, well, maybe so. It's fine with me. With our little bit of a service every week.
Well, if anyone, like Carolyn said, if anyone has other ideas or suggestions or concerns, just contact one of the board members or Carolyn and we'll pass it along. Thank you. So Matthew, should we adjourn the meeting part? And
Yeah, I move. This has been great. And I love all the ideas that people put forward. I just want to put in that I think they all sound great in terms of ideas. And but I move at this point that we adjourn.
This is Julie. I second the motion.
Julie Fisher seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Hearing none, the motion passes and we adjourn.
Thank you so much, everybody, especially Matthew.
This is Jean. Thank you all.
So now we'll go back and extinguish the chalice to end the service portion. So join me in extinguishing the chalice, reading the text printed on the screen while muted. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on in the directions we have chosen today. The light of this faith lives on in us, together in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Thank you all for being here today. And before we say goodbye, was there anything in the chat that we need to share, or anybody on the phone that wants to say anything?
I just want to say, Lynn, we've been watching you burp that baby. You do such a good job.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen.
Good job, Grandma.
Yeah.
She was crying in the background and nobody went to get her, so I had to go get her. She's not quite 4 months old. Her name is Penelope.
Oh,
So cute.
She's a sweetie.
That's so fun.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who served on the board and continues to serve. And for all the hard work this year that doing Zoom and all the tech stuff, Carolyn and Karen and Beth and Julie and everybody, it's been really wonderful how you just filled in and made this a good year for all of us.
You're here. Well, everybody have a great Sunday. It doesn't look too bad out there. We're going to end this virtual gathering, but please continue to stay in touch with one another throughout the week until we come together again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Great job, Beth.
Thank you, Carolyn, for everything. And Julie, we didn't have any technical problems really.
Good job, Julie.
Yeah.
Good job, Julie.
That's pretty surprising.
We're probably the two that have the worst internet of anybody in the fellowship. So other than you, Harvey might be.
Great job, folks.
Thank you. And thanks, Lyra, we'll have fun. We'll have fun on the board starting in July.
Sounds good.
And if you want to join us like for June, you're welcome to, but you don't need to.
When is the date?
So we're meeting right now on the first Thursday of the month, right, Julie? Odie? And
Correct.
So you'll see an email from Otter. So if you want to join in just to see, that's fine, but you don't need to until July.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
But
Thanks.
we'd like you to.
But we'd
like
love
you
it
to,
if you
though.
want to, yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye. I'll text you, Beth.
Okay.